From the KMNN studios, this is the Kids Morning News Network.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, the 52nd day of the year. I'm Alex in the KMNN studio in New York. Today is Language Day. There are more than 7,000 languages in the world. Some of them are only spoken by a few people, but today we celebrate them all. Have you ever played chess? You know, game of kings, two players trying to checkmate each other. Been around since at least the 1400s. Are you any good? Seems like everyone has that one friend who's just great at it. Well, today there are some kids in Singapore who can say that their friend really is great at it. That's because over the weekend, 8.5-year-old Ashwath Kaushik became the youngest player ever to beat a grandmaster in a classical tournament chess game. A grandmaster, if you don't know, is the highest title a chess player can get, besides being world champion. And P.S., another cool thing about chess, it has grandmasters. It's like being a wizard. But back to Ashwath. He started playing chess when he was 3. He learned it from an app and then started playing with his grandparents, who, they're like the grandmasters of life. He practices 2 hours a day on school days, and according to his dad, 6 to 9 hours a day when he's not in school. And like I said, at 8 years and 6 months old, he's the youngest player to beat a grandmaster. Until he came along, the record was held by Leonid Ivanovic from Serbia, who is 8 years, 11 months old. He held the record for 6 days. Yes, Leonid had the record for less than a week. But that's chess for you. This is the anniversary of the very first train trip back in 1804. Back then, railways were used to pull heavy carts at ironworks, kind of like a factory where they made heavy metal stuff, but they were pulled by horses. Steam engines were around, but they were used for things like pumping water and crushing rocks. People had been trying to make a steam-powered carriage or train for years, but none of them worked out, or they only worked for short distances. A couple of factory owners in the country of Wales made a bet on who could be the first to have a true steam locomotive, a train. On February 21st, 1804, the bet was won when a steam engine pulled a train with 10 tons of iron and 70 men along a rail line for nearly 10 miles. It took just over 4 hours, so they were moving at about walking speed. And the engine was so much heavier than a horse-drawn cart that it broke the tracks. But a new era had begun. Time for the Wednesday riddle. Monday's riddle was, I turn one person into 2 and 2 people into 4. What am I? Answer, a mirror. Today's riddle, growing but not alive, needs air but no lungs, no mouth, but water drowns me. What am I? Did you get that? Growing but not alive, needs air but no lungs, no mouth, but water drowns me. What am I? Give you the answer on Friday. Weather today. If you're in pretty much the whole western third of the country, you don't need me to tell you, more rain. Buckets of rain. Lots and lots of rain. Except where it's cold enough to snow. In New Mexico and West Texas, it looks like it'll be windy. There's a bunch of warm air pushing up from the Gulf of Mexico, so it'll be warming up for a lot of people over the next few days.
3, 2, 1, liftoff.
Last month, we followed the sad story of the Peregrine moonlander. You may remember that it leaked its fuel after liftoff and never quite made it to the moon. Well, now there's a new contender to be the first American spacecraft to land on the moon since 1972. Odysseus, or Odie for short, lifted off from Houston last Thursday and is scheduled to land on the moon tomorrow. One thing that is special about Odie is that, like Peregrine, it's not a NASA spaceship. It's from a private company. But NASA is paying to send some things to the moon on Odie, so it's kind of a delivery service. So far, everything has gone well on Odie's flight. I'll have an update for you on Friday. Our riddle today was about a mirror. Try this. If you have two mirrors, see how many reflections you can make of yourself. One of the mirrors needs to be able to move, but the other one can be fixed, like on a wall or a door. See what happens if the mirrors are next to each other. What happens if one is behind you? How many different reflections can you see? Get your grown-up to help. Send me an email to let me know how it goes at kidsmorningnews@gmail.com. I want to end with a poem today. This one's called The Land of Counterpane by Robert Louis Stevenson. When I was sick and lay abed, I had two pillows at my head, and all my toys beside me lay to keep me happy all the day. And sometimes for an hour or so I watched my leaden soldiers go, with different uniforms and drills, among the bedclothes, through the hills. And sometimes sent my ships and fleets all up and down among the sheets, or brought my trees and houses out, and planted cities all about. I was the giant great and still, that sits upon the pillow hill, and sees before him, dale and plain, the pleasant land of Counterpane. It's not really the same as when you're sick in bed and staring at a screen all day. All right, that's this Wednesday podcast. I'll be back Friday. Please subscribe if you haven't already, share this episode, and spread the word about the Kids Morning News Network. And grown-ups, if you want to support this podcast, there's a link in the episode description. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back Friday. I hope you are too. From the KMNN Newsroom, this is Alex, signing off.